Happy New Year 2017. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Today is Monday, brand new year, first Monday mail day of 2017, and I have a feeling this is going to be a good year, so hopefully everybody made it into the new year safe, didn't get arrested, nothing like that. And I picked some questions, as usual. Put a thumb up next to the questions. I'll be answering a lot of Ronda Rousey questions coming off her fight. She was the last big fight, major fight card in combat sports for 2017. And it was a pretty shocking, not in the sense of if you know anything about both opponents, but just who Ronda Rousey was supposed to be. And she was, look at all the promo ads. Joe Rogan even talked about this. All the promo ads were pro Ronda, barely even showed Nunes. You would have thought Ronda Rousey was fighting herself the way she was in both of the promos and all of that. So it was shocking to some people based on who Ronda Rousey was. A lot of people didn't expect that for her comeback. So let's get it in. Pause. First question comes from Cyclops Shrek. So Holly Holm is getting a title shot in the new women's 145-pound division. Heard about that. If she wins that fight, which I think she will, do you think they should do a super fight between her and Nunes? And if so, who would you favor in that fight? That's a tough fight. I would have to look at a little bit more detailed variable. Amanda Nunes looked a little bit bigger than Ronda Rousey in terms of height. Holly Holm looked significantly bigger, so I want to see how tall Holly Holm is in comparison to Amanda Nunes. Maybe I'll search Google, see if they ever took a picture together. But it's a good fight. I don't know that Nunes being a bantamweight champion, I don't know if she's trying to move up to the new women's 145-pound division. I'm not quite sure who I would land on as far as the winner. You could say Nunes would get outboxed or stopped by Holly Holm, but Holly Holm's lost her last two fights. So if she gets this victory in the new division, maybe she will. Maybe it's easier to make that weight and things like that. So it's a possibility. I definitely think Nunes has more confidence. I mean, how could she not? She's undefeated in the UFC. She just knocked out Ronda Rousey in 48 seconds. Holly Holm just lost two back-to-back fights. One of them was Miesha Tate, where she got choked out and like passed out from it. So it's an interesting fight. I think Holly Holm's still a skilled fighter. Interesting fight. And then she'll have, at that point, if they did fight at 145, she'll have the upper hand in terms of one more fight in that particular division to acclimate. So it's an interesting fight. I don't really have a pick at the moment. I would just tune in and want to see a good fight. But two good strikers, one a little bit more of the boxing experience, one's fresher. So it's really a toss-up on who could win that one. Next question is from Pretty Boy Floyd Mayweather. What's up, Ego? What up? Who do you think Amanda will fight next? Maybe CRIS Cyborg. Again, that's another interesting thing. I don't know, because the weight that she just fought, I don't know. Cyborg can't make that weight, right? And then Cyborg, I heard she got flagged for a potential USADA violation in her last fight, so she might get suspended. I don't know the details. That's all I heard. I just seen the headline, so I don't know the outcome. I don't know if it yay or nay. I don't know if she has a logical excuse, but that'll be the second type of violation in a drug test. So I don't think the UFC organization is really pro Cyborg anyway. You know what I mean? Because they would have made the Ronda Rousey fight. They don't seem like they'd go out of their way to help her in any regard. You know what I mean? So, and like, I think Dana White has even said some like bad things to her, and you know what I'm saying? So I don't know. She has to get that cleared up first. But I mean, hey, I would love to see it. Two strikers, two big Brazilian women that don't really give a fuck. I'd like to see it. I just don't know what weight, and I don't know what's up with CRIS Cyborg and the whole potential USADA flag. Next question, James the Dolphin. Does the decline of Ronda Rousey hurt the women's division as far as pay-per-view ratings go? Yeah, I mean, I definitely think in terms of pay-per-view, Ronda Rousey was obviously a big attraction, and the vehicle put a lot of money behind Ronda Rousey. So I don't really see anybody in the women's division that is going to get the same kind of notoriety. Like Ronda Rousey could put someone in an armbar, which is less emphatic than a knockout. I mean, I'm not hating on nobody's craft, But I mean, what would like casual fans like to see more? What Amanda Nunes does in like stretching her last two opponents, or someone gets submitted in 16 seconds in an arm bar because their arm is about to snap off? You know what I mean? But just the way the game is set up, it's kind of like a popularity contest. I don't think the UFC is going to invest as much energy as in the other women because they don't have the look or whatever. And Ronda Rousey apparently did, and Gina Carano apparently did. So I think the pay-per-view ratings will suffer, but hopefully it doesn't take all the spotlight because Ronda Rousey's not there, because there are some good fighters. Amanda Nunes, I mean, she had 3 fights this year, and 2 of them were against bigger names, Miesha Tate and Ronda Rousey, and they were destructive finishes. So for that, I'm always down to see the next fight for that person or whatever, and I hope they do good. Next question 2, is the inactivity of Errol Spence Jr. going to hurt him if his next fight is for the IBF or the WBC? I don't think so, because I don't think he's been on that much of an inactive streak. He fought Leonard Bundu in that eliminator. That was during the 2016 Rio Olympics. So that's like Michael Connellan. He was he's an Irish guy who just got signed to Top Rank not too long ago. He's not fighting till March, which is right around where Errol Spence. So, I mean, I wouldn't expect Connellan to look horrible in his Top Rank debut because he hasn't fought since the Rio Olympics. So that's about the same time frame, about the same month that Errol Spence last fought. So inactivity does matter, but you got to look at it you have to look at all the details. It's not just mere inactivity. You know what I mean? Some people, like, for example, Nicholas Walters, he got big as hell while he was inactive, which is a no-no, right? So on top of being out for a year, he gained a massive amount of weight for the weight he had to fight at and campaign at 130. He was clearly like 158, 160 plus probably. Like, I did an Ego Weight Watchers and everything. So for him to come back and fight Vasyl Lomachenko, that was a little bit more crucial. And he was coming off a draw to Jason Sosa, so obviously that probably didn't make him feel good, feeling like he did all that work and you didn't even get the actual win. So it's a little bit different. Errol Spence Jr., like I said, he just fought Bundu and knocked him out brutally and had the highest probably boxing viewership of 2016 with 6 million people. So, and I've seen him recently in interviews and on Instagram and stuff, and he's in shape still. It's not like he's like fat or something and gained a bunch of weight. You know what I mean? So that's basically what it is. So I don't think it'll hurt him too much. I think he's kind of in the zone. He's still free. The other thing is he's not been beaten up. He hasn't really been in any wars that just stand out to me. So I think he's still fresh enough and young enough and in shape right now to the point where he'll be set scrapping for the IBF. And you said, by the way, James the Dolphin is a Chappelle Show reference. I know you commented on that last time. LMAO. Wow. Yeah, I remember your name. It definitely stuck out. I don't remember. You have to let me know what skit that's from. I fuck with the Chappelle Show. I just don't remember James the Dolphin. Next question, Joe Kelly. What's the definition of a hype job? Is Golovkin also a hype job or the real deal? First part of your question, I guess it varies from person to person. To me, a hype job is somebody like who's being praised, overly praised for things they haven't accomplished, things that they probably couldn't accomplish, and you know what I mean, their skill set is being overstated, especially when there's like legitimate threats to that style, right? Like there's just a lot of promotion behind them and a lot of the right people and a lot of the right business moves or whatever into the machine and behind them to the point where they're getting promoted and then they don't live up to those expectations. So that's kind of a definition of mine for what a hype job. Is Golovkin also a hype job or the real deal? Now, it's the only way to determine that is if he fights somebody of note. I think Danny Jacobs is a step in the right direction. That's a good, credible win if he beats Danny Jacobs. And it's a little bit premature to determine you can't say he's a hype job. He's you can't say yay or nay to me. He looks to be the boss. You know what I'm saying? He looks to be really good. But one has to factor in his competition. And there's nobody, I'm not going to say because I don't want to disrespect the sport, but I cannot off the top of my dome think of anybody who has gotten the level of praise Golovkin has gotten for the caliber of people he has fought at his current age, at the age of 34. And on top of that, he's a silver medalist. So as we've seen in pro boxing, Vasyl Lomachenko, here's an example. Vasyl Lomachenko has less than 10 fights. True or false? True. He's a gold medalist, so he also has amateur experience. He also turned pro a little bit later because he stayed in the amateur kind of circuit. But would you say per division, he has fought tougher challenges than you would say Golovkin? And you can't include the Danny Jacobs because it hasn't happened yet. And in my opinion, I would say hell yeah. In his second pro fight, he fought Orlando Salido. And what I mean by tough challenges is somebody who stylistically can thwart your plans. Stylistically, they actually have a chance. What they do well versus what you do well meshes well. Like Thurman Porter, Ward Kovalev. What Ward does well, Kovalev does other things well that makes for an intriguing fight. And I clearly think Orlando Salido, that's why Orlando Salido beat Lomachenko the first time. He fought kind of dirty, didn't care about making weight, and he's a veteran. Win, lose, or draw, Salido had been in there previously with Yuriorkis Gamboa, Mikey Garcia, Juan Manuel Marquez, definitely a legend, Roberto Guerrero, who later moved up to welterweight, where he's currently at. You know what I'm saying? Salido is battle tested, right? Then a guy who pretty much was about to go to the Olympics, and then I think he got sick, and then Lomachenko schooled him. That was Gary Russell Jr., who then, after that fight, became a champion. And then Lomachenko moves up, fights Rocky Martinez, brand new fight at the first fight at a brand new division, and he knocks out the champion and dominates the champion. Champion won no rounds, and he was coming up in weight. And then, and I know I said in the past that I don't personally think he should have been a champion, Rocky Martinez, but the fact is he is a champion, and he was a champion, and it was impressive to see Lomachenko first fight at that weight, and he just destroyed him. You know what I mean? And using the Salido, I told you Salido is a veteran. Salido didn't do that to him. He didn't knock him out like Lomachenko did. You know what I mean? Salido been in there, Juan Manuel Lopez and all these people, Walma Lopez. So, I mean, look at it. Tell me those names like that. And then obviously Nicholas Walters recently, a guy, the Axeman. He was on a year layoff, but I mean, he signed up and he was an undefeated fighter, and he was the Axeman. He had power, and Lomachenko did the same thing, dominated and make it look easy. The people I've seen Golovkin fight, I wouldn't say were like that. You know what I mean? There weren't like people who most gave, like Willie Monroe was a 60 or 80 to 1 underdog. I personally had only seen 1 or 2 Willie Monroe fights. Darnell Boone and Brian Vera was on ESPN. That's all. You know what I'm saying? So who was really picking Willie Monroe to beat him? KELL BROOK, solid name, but it was a welterweight, jumping up 2 divisions. Most welterweights, or most people, Kovalev's a great fighter. Ward's a great fighter, but if they jumped up to heavyweight, who are you going to pick? You would probably pick the heavyweight. You're going to pick Andre Ward to beat Deontay Wilder. Would you pick Sergey Kovalev to beat Deontay Wilder or Anthony Joshua? No, because of the dramatic weight difference without acclimating. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. And when I'm, like I said, Lomachenko to me has done more, improved more, and he had been in more fights where stylistically the guys had something more to offer. Like, I really, in my heart of, and I've been checking for Lomachenko for a while. And I told you when I made the 7 reasons Vasily Lomachenko beats Nicholas Walters, I said he kind of has that Mayweather aura about him. I picked against him and he proved me wrong. And that one time, and I've been watching him ever since. And it's just what I've seen from him. He's developing. He's a gold medalist, 2-time gold medal. I'm not picking against him unless I really feel it. And I didn't think Walters had it to beat him, and I was right. You know what I mean? And the time I picked against Lomachenko, he immediately made me regret it because he schooled Gary Russell. Yeah, I really thought Gary Russell at that time where Lomachenko was, he had already lost to Salido and stuff. He fought Gary Russell. I'm like, Gary Russell's speed is gonna give him mad problems, and I was wrong. And again, I don't mind being wrong if it's for a good cause. So if Lomachenko did his thing, I'm not gonna hate. But again, when I look at Golovkin's resume, I can't say he's a hype job or the real deal because I have to see him in with real deal competition. And there's no one at age 34. Like, look at Evander Holyfield. Tell me he was 34 and he hadn't fought nobody, and you would be dumb if you said that. Or Sugar Shane Mosley or Oscar De La Hoya. Any guy with even Amir Khan. Amir Khan fought Bradis Prescott. He lost, but he fought a big Colombian puncher. I don't know if he was undefeated. I don't know if Prescott was undefeated. He might have been at the time. And Amir Khan was like 19. You know what I mean? He was fighting guys like Barrera, Marco Antonio Barrera. I mean, it's still Barrera. Danny Garcia fought Eric Morales. It's still Eric Morales. Look at their ages when they were doing it. Broner was fighting DeMarco and shit. He probably was like 23. Maybe even, I don't think he was younger than that. You know what I'm saying? Golovkin's literally 34. And I can't think of any person that I thought even had a Danny Jacobs size chance to pull the upset. You know what I mean? Adama, Gabe Rosado came up from 154. Ashita came up from 154. I literally don't even know, still to this day, I don't even know shit about Adama. I don't know anybody else he fought. I don't know who, like, what did Floyd say to Robert Guerrero? I don't know who you fought. I don't know who you beat. I don't know who you lost to. That's how I feel about Adama. I don't know who you beat. I don't know who you fought. I don't know who you lost to. You easy work. You easy as work. You still, I get as close as I want. You still ain't gonna do shit. That's how I feel about Adama. I don't know who you beat. I don't know who you lost to. Except for Golovkin. That's the only person. You know what I mean? So none of those guys had a chance. David Lemieux, I thought that was, I did a video on that too. I think I did 7 reasons why he beat Lemieux too. Yeah, I know I did it. So check that on the channel. Like, I never gave anybody a shot. I think out of all people, Jacobs, if anything, and I don't even know if I'm picking Jacobs, but he had the best chance to beat Golovkin if anybody has a chance at middleweight. You know what I mean? Curtis Stevens had already been stopped before, already had another loss. So that's just my opinion. So I'm not gonna say he's a hype job. I think he's a quality fighter. He's a good fighter, but I can't say he's the real deal until I see him fight. If you go beat up on Jacobs, stop Canelo, or fight him and beat him convincingly, then we could talk about real deal. But you have to have those names. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, only in boxing do you have the groupie fans who want to condone certain things and accept certain things only for certain fighters, right? It's just like a teacher. If someone is proven to be a pretty good student, they're not going to just, no matter what you turn in, not look at your paper and not grade it. You know what I'm saying? Or give you an A+ on the assignment and you ain't even turned it in, or the essay. You know what I'm saying? So I can't make a solid judgment. Golovkin looks damn good versus his opponents. Pause. But I can't say he's elite because he hasn't fought nobody elite that I even gave a shot to even beat him. Danny Jacobs, like I said, is a step in that right direction. That's a quality win. Jacobs has momentum. He's maybe a half inch taller than Golovkin. He definitely has power to hurt any middleweight. You beat him, now we're talking. Now we get to see. Especially if you beat him like you've been beating up on everybody else for the most part. Now we're getting to see what that chin's like, and if you get backed up, what you would do if you get cut. You know what I'm saying? We get to see a little bit more. That's what it is. Next question. Alvarez 28. I was born Alvarez. No. Yo, Boxingego, who you got if Nunes fights Holm? Again, I'm not really sure who I would pick because it all depends on the weight, and I'd have to look at a couple other variables. That was an earlier question. Just a damn good fight. 2 strikers. But I don't know. I have to look at a few more things. Next question. Santos Aranda. Should Nunes fight Holm or Cyborg next? The hell with Ronda. Is Nunes era now? I mean, I don't know. She even said it post-fight. after Ronda Rousey 48-second knockout, she said, these girls can't take my power. So she may have to eventually, for the sake of better paychecks and maybe trying to main event a UFC card, she might have to move up. You know what I mean? It's unfortunate, but women's division, the talent pools are different. That's why Ronda Rousey, when she had her little run, she was beating up on Betch Correa. Like, there was a clear separation. It, like, I don't care what nobody says. You can't look at the women's bantamweight division at that time and compare it to top divisions in boxing that are stacked. Like Kat Zingano, like, you know what I mean? These girls had clear deficiencies or certain skill deficient. You know what I mean? There's clear separation in the high skilled fighters and then them girls. You know what I'm saying? That's just how I seen it. Like, who would you say? Kat Zingano? Look at the welterweight division in boxing. Welterweight, how many killers do they have? KELL BROOK, Keith Thurman, you have Danny Garcia, and you have Errol Spence Jr. Any of those guys could, on any given night, could possibly beat each other. Possibly. And then on top of that, welterweight has other people who are just still there that you can't necessarily overlook, like AMIR Khan, Andre Berto, Sean Porter, Robert Guerrero, things of that sort. Sammy Vasquez. So I didn't see that type of stacked talent pool when Ronda was there. So again, for Nunes, for the sake of her career, I don't know. I'd have to look at the women's, a snapshot of the current women's bantamweight picture. Holly Holm moved up. You just destroyed Ronda Rousey. I don't really know who else is there that has enough buzz that'll make a Nunes fight be a main event. So she may have to move up to pursue bigger paychecks and greater challenges. Next question, Frederick Cotton. Ego, looks like KELL BROOK is ducking Errol Spence to fight AMIR Khan. Do you think he will be stripped? Yeah, I think it's pretty much in stone. If he doesn't, he has till like February, late February, let's say February 23rd to 26th, to try to negotiate with Errol Spence Jr. And then if they can't within a week or whatever, then it goes to purse bid. Unless they just say, Eddie Hearn and Sky Sports and Matchroom and KELL BROOK says, hey, we don't care about the title anymore. We're getting rid of it. And I mean, if they do that, it's going to look really bad on Team Brook, because at that point you wasted everybody's time. Errol Spence could have been fighting Jeff Horn or whoever else is next in line for that title, for that IBF title. So what's the point of getting a medical extension and waiting to the turn of the new year if you don't plan on fighting him? So, I mean, it's really up on Team Brook. No one told you to move up and fight Golovkin at middleweight. You did it. You paid for it. You got an injury. So, I mean, now no one's going to feel sorry for you ducking your mandatory. So, I do think the IBF is pretty good, and I think it's just too much pressure. I've made several videos myself, so I think it'll be too much pressure on them to not strip him if he doesn't partake in that fight. Next question, Strokes Hunter. Why does Dana White and his band of fighting minions always drag Floyd's name for no apparent reason? That's easy. Do you see this stopping in 2017? No. Because you notice, if Dana White talks about, let's say he talks about Dominic Cruz, maybe the MMA world will know about it. Let's say he talks about Donald Cowboy Cerrone. Okay, MMA world will know about it, will write about it. But when he talks about Floyd Mayweather, everybody knows about him. Like, he just did that recent TMZ interview, and he said Conor would trash Floyd Mayweather's bodyguards. The lie detector determined that was a lie. I'm a big dude myself, and I went to Floyd Mayweather's daughter's Sweet 16 birthday party in Las Vegas last year, now since it's the new year, and his bodyguards are fucking huge. Pause. Like, I follow them on Instagram and stuff, but pictures are pictures. Some people look bigger in pictures. Like, I seen DMX. I always thought he looked like he's like 6'5" or something, the way he act. You know what I mean? Yeah, no, stay out the door, cause if I catch you when the sun is down, run, come up off that. Yeah, no, got a couple screws loose, like that screw in your kitchen on the table, and I'm able, what? Leave that nigga sleeping. You know what I'm saying? I always thought he was like bigger than what he is. He's tiny. But Floyd Mayweather's bodyguards are fucking big. Like, the dude's like 7 feet tall, legit. Cause I'm 6 something. I'm 6'5", and the dude was huge. You know what I'm saying? So Conor McGregor ain't sleeping Floyd's bodyguards. He would like really come up to Floyd's bodyguards' navel. And I met some of the other dudes too. So they're big dudes. So I don't care. You can have all the MMA and whatever training and Irish blood, whatever you're talking about, but it gets to a point where size does matter. You could be all great and knocking out Jose Aldo, but we're talking about 300-pound, 280-pound men. It's going to be a little bit different. But anyway, back to what I was saying. Dana White talks about Floyd. Conor McGregor talks about Floyd. Ronda Rousey talks about Floyd. It makes like national headlines. Fox picks it up. Boxing outlets, MMA outlets, YouTube outlets. You know what I'm saying? So I don't see it stopping. It's just easy money, promotion, promote your card, and just kind of the way it goes. You know what I mean? Floyd is still relevant. Next question is from Samir Makutar. Eddie Hearn said that Khan vs. BROOK could be confirmed in January. Do you think that Khan has any chance of winning if he sticks to boxing and moving? Yeah, I mean, he has a chance. It's boxing. KELL BROOK, I mean, both of them got banged up in their last fight. So either of them have a chance, to be honest, because we don't know if there's irreversible damage done to KELL BROOK's eye. I mean, he went up to middleweight to fight the strongest middleweight. Even though he had some success in there, at the end, his eye didn't have success, and his eye took that punishment. You know what I mean? Coming back too soon, it could be a Margarito situation. He's younger. Maybe it is in a Margarito situation. Maybe his eye heals up and it's 100% A-okay. So we don't really know. Either guy has a chance to me in that fight. They both got stopped in their last fight. One was a worse stoppage, obviously the Canelo knocking Khan out cold. But Khan has blistering speed. Danny Garcia will tell you that in the first 2 rounds. So if he just keeps tattooing that eye and then that eye's not holding up, then it's going to be a long night for BROOK. But again, we don't know how Khan's going to bounce back. He just got slept with his eyes open by Canelo in devastating fashion, to the point where Canelo has a quote post-fight where he said, anytime you see a knockout like that, then I took a knee, because you don't, we're warriors, you don't want to permanently harm somebody, so I had to kneel down and take a knee to see if he was all right. And anytime you see a knockout like you did it, you did the knockout. What you mean anytime you see a knockout? So it's either guy can win that fight. It's just, you know what I mean? Because we don't know the impact of their last fights, what kind of toll that's going to take on them. KELL BROOK seems to gain some good, actually Khan too, but both of them look like they gained some weight in their off season and stuff like that. So I mean, anyone could win it, but I would still say if Khan's, or if KELL BROOK's eye holds up, he's still the fresher fighter, because he hasn't been knocked out like Khan has been knocked out. And that's just how I see it. Next question, Joe Kelly. Was Ronda Rousey a white hype? I would say so. She was kind of proven to be a one-trick pony. Short and sweet. One-trick pony, one-dimensional. When it comes to judo, she handles business. But the moment, you notice, it's funny, just like Gina Carano, she started getting like magazine spreads and Maxim and all this. That's where it all started coming down. Because I tell people get mad, why are you bringing up Floyd? Floyd, I always look to successful people to see what I can learn. I don't care who it is. If you're massively successful, I want to learn from you. I'm a sponge. I want to soak up all the game that I can. And one thing about everyone that I've ever talked to that knows Floyd personally, or just people that I've seen do interviews and stuff, they say one thing about this dude. Oh, his work ethic is crazy. I've never heard anyone like, oh, that work ethic shit is bullshit. Floyd don't be really working. He does that for the cameras. I have literally never heard anyone say that. And I'm not saying Ronda Rousey didn't work hard, but it appeared to me it became too much for her. And again, you look at guys like Floyd Mayweather, he's been in the spotlight and the limelight for 19 years as a professional fighter and had big events like the Oscar de la Hoya, big ass fight. He holds the top 3 highest grossing pay-per-views of all time. Canelo, Alvarez fight, big fight. You know what I'm saying? Maidana fights, those are decent size. Ricky Hatton, that was a big fight, right? Victor Ortiz, that was a pretty good size fight. Cotto, Shane Mosley, Pacquiao, all big fights, and he never lost the grip on the training and like never let the moment get too big for him, right? And that's just kind of what it is. But Ronda Rousey, in the height of her career, that's when it all fell apart for her. You know what I'm saying? She was in the peak of her career. She was in Entourage and Fast 7. She was on the Ring magazine, and that's where it got too big. And I think, I keep saying this, she went away from what got her there, and that's the judo. You know what I mean? She started thinking, you knocked out Betch Correa, and then you lost the very next fight, if I'm not mistaken. You start thinking you're a stand-up fighter. Amanda Nunes said it post-fight, and I said it before Amanda Nunes, but she said the same thing. She said, I don't know why she did that. I mean, she's good with the judo. She should just stick with that. But I think her coach, Edmond, he tell her that she's a boxer, and I'm the striker. I'm the real striker here. She's like, I'm the striker. She's not the striker. These girls can't hang with my power. So I don't know why she thinks she's some big boxer. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely think she was a hype. And you said a white hype. I think America is constantly searching for that great white hope. You know what I mean? And it's not just in fighting sports, but in sports. Look at Tim Tebow, right? He had a good college career, good college run, right? And immediately, and some people are gonna get mad. Oh, fuck you, man! Like it's funny. This society is so fucking funny and sensitive. People hurl insults and they'll say you're racist for bringing up the topic of race. All you have to do is, you're not demeaning a race or badgering a race or harassing a race or saying racial slurs even. If you bring up a race, if you bring up a topic, you're racist. You know what I'm saying? Which is funny, but on my channel, if you're comfortable in your own skin, you don't really care what other people say. So I'm gonna tackle this great white hope subject in this video, and I mean, you guys take it for what it's worth. It has nothing to do with racism, at least on my part. But you'll notice America is constantly searching for the great white hope, meaning there's a deep infatuation, and they almost become fixated on giving the proper coverage to uplifting Caucasian in sports that seem a cut above the rest. Example, like I said, Tim Tebow, good college career, and when he got to the NFL, they're like, oh, he's in great shape. He was on all these magazines doing 1 million interviews, and oh, he goes to church, and he's so good, he's so great, and he actually has some good plays, and it gets blown out of proportion like ridiculously. You know what I mean? Tim Tebow, there's a lot of Caucasian white quarterbacks that were good, but since he was like the new face, there's a lot of black quarterbacks that were good too. They get a different level of exposure, and that's just the harsh reality of it in the times we live in. That's what it is. They wanted Tim. It's like they wanted Tim Tebow to win very bad, to the point where his skills, you notice he's not in the NFL no more. He had to play arena football after this. You know what I mean? He got switched from this team to this team, went to the Broncos, then went to the Jets and all this. You know what I mean? And obviously, he's not there anymore. And then, like, you look at other people, especially if they fuck up, like Michael Vick with the dog fighting, they were quick to throw him under the bus. You know what I mean? People, I didn't see the media build Michael Vick up before the dog fight shit as much as I seen like Tim Tebow. It was like Tebow mania, and he was doing that pose, and Tim Tebow in. They were like really creating a movement. The media I'm talking about, right? Look at Tommy Morrison. The dude never really had. I mean, he had a couple good wins, but he lost to people he shouldn't have lost to. Wasn't expected to lose to. You know what I mean? What's the dude? Michael, I forgot the guy's name. He lost to Ray Mercer. He lost to that Michael dude. Lost to Lennox Lewis. But before that, they put him in the Rocky movie, a Hollywood full-fledged blockbuster franchise. They put him in the movie, right? Like it's like they want him to do good. Like, you know what I mean? they're like, oh, he's the Duke, he's John Wayne. He had the look, he was in shape, he was a diesel white boy, and they marketed the hell out of him, put him in a movie, Tommy Gunn. You wanna fight? Hey Tommy, what's this about? I just called you 3 hours ago. You know what I'm saying? And they wanted to put him in a movie and give him all the exposure in the world. Same thing with Ronda Rousey. Oh, she's the best. They were saying she's the Terminator. What about Ann Wolfe? We'll see who's the real Terminator. Even to this day, put Ronda Rousey in that ring with Ann Wolfe and we'll see who the real Terminator is. You already know what happened. Ann Wolfe would stretch Ronda Rousey. Stretch her. Because the judo's dope, but to be effective, you have to get in within a certain like proximity. Ann Wolfe would stretch Ronda Rousey. Trust me on this one. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it's like America is always searching for that great white hope or whatever. And we see it all the time. Like, if certain people, minorities, say certain things, look at how they'll be treated. Versus Eminem. Eminem is one of my favorite artists, by the way. But he said whatever the fuck he want. He's like, I got 6 kids from Columbine, send them all in line. And he's talking about it's a mass murder at a high school. And it was dope the way you wordplay and shit. But if you really break down what he's talking about kids that just got shot up at a school. You know what I'm saying? I can't even, if I bring up Ronda Rousey in the term white hype, some people are, oh, you're racist. He's talking about a widespread mass murder at a high school or whatever, middle school, whatever they were, in Columbine. You know what I'm saying? So it's just different levels, and that's just the America we live in. I mean, Eminem talking about Christopher Reeves. He said, tell him stiffer than Christopher Reeves. And talking about Christopher Reeves can't walk and Superman can't walk. You know what I mean? He's saying all this stuff. Imagine if other people were saying that. Imagine if Broner said that about Christopher Reeves. Oh man, you know, I'm stiff like Christopher Reeves. I can't walk like Christopher Reeves. My car got so many horses, I hop out feeling like Christopher Reeve. They would slaughter Broner in the media if he was saying stuff like Eminem says. But, and again, it's just, it is what it is. So that's to answer your Ronda Rousey white hype. Yes, she was promoted just like Gina Carano. And ultimately, those girls fell victim to maybe more versatile and skilled fighters. I think Ronda Rousey is a good fighter. I do think she's good. But she's good at a particular thing. And the moment she got kind of big-headed and started feeling herself too much and maybe even started working less hard, I don't know, I'm not in her camp, then that's when it all started to unravel for her. And you've seen other people who were more versatile, more complete, hungrier, they took over. So you got to give people like Floyd Mayweather credit for being in a grueling combat sport and staying on top and never getting fully distracted to the point where, I mean, Floyd's been hurt before. We've seen him hurt, but he ain't never looked like Ronda Rousey versus Nunes or tapped out like Conor McGregor or Ronda Rousey, Holly Holm. You know what I'm saying? He hasn't had those types of performances in his respective arena. Next question, Jesse Kirkland. Crucial thumbnail, Ego. Would like to hear your opinion on the ongoing BROOK Khan Spence saga? I just did a video about the Khan BROOK thing. It's like I said, it's like Victor Ortiz versus Brandon Rios, or like let's say Brandon Rios fights Ruslan Provodnikov. It's a fight that I really truly wanted to see at a point in time, and now I want to see it, but it's not like earth shattering. Like I'm not gonna cancel Christmas to see certain fights after they're past their expiration date a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like Mayweather Pacquiao, that was still a big event, and then aside from Marquez, nobody else was really beating either. No one really could picture anybody beating those two people at that time, even when they fought. You know what I'm saying? So that was still a good fight. But the BROOK Khan, they're both coming off knockout losses, so it definitely lost some of the luster. I feel bad for my dude. Shout out to my dude ERROL Spence Jr. He's just been going through the motions and having dominant performances, doing good, climbing up the ladder like he's supposed to, and he keeps getting stalled out. So I'm not a fan of that. I feel like BROOK, whatever your decision is, just make it. You know what I mean? So that belt is free, and then negotiations for Spence, Jeff Horn, or whoever else is in line can take place or whatever. And you said would seem like they be as hard on BROOK as they're being on the Joshua Klitschko winner. I don't get that. Favoritism, very dope show. Keep doing what you're doing. I'm not sure with the second part. Would seem like they're being as hard on BROOK. I mean, I don't know. I don't really understand that last part of the question, but bottom line, BROOK brought it on himself. He went up, fought Golovkin at middleweight. People said it was a suicide mission, and he didn't win. Now he has a career loss, and that takes away. Now both of the guys in the main event have been stopped in the last fight, so the Khan BROOK fight is not the same. You know what I mean? And that's just what it is. So Joseph Reyes, next question. Kind of a two-part question. How did you meet Troy King? I actually met him through other people I know in the boxing in the Bay Area. It was at Andre Ward versus Paul Smith. I didn't know who he was or anything. And I just got introduced to him, and they're like, oh yeah, he's a fighter. And then I interviewed him, and then I ran into him again, and you know what I mean? That was it. So just, that's the great thing about boxing. It's not a big community. I see the same, every time I cover a fight, I see the same motherfuckers. I see the same people, right? And that's just, it's not that big of a niche. It's like a small, tight-knit community. You start running into the same people over and over again, and that's the best way. If you like boxing, even the fans, like I know people that don't even cover boxing like media, just fans, and they're at all the fights, every single one. I'm like, damn, every fight I've been to, they're at. You know what I'm saying? So boxing, that's a great place. That's a good thing about boxing community is the diehards. They'll really go out there and support the events and stuff, and that's the best place to meet like-minded people is at the events. So that's how I met Troy King, according to Chivo. Next, how far do you think his potential will take him on the world stage? And I mean, that's really up to Troy King and his dedication. I think he's definitely motivated, he's skilled, he's always stays in shape, and he wants that opportunity to produce and improve himself. So it's really up to him and when he gets his opportunity, and that's what he's working on. And hopefully I'm giving him a little bit more exposure on the channel to the point where some of those dreams can become a reality, and then you guys won't have to have me answer it, and then he can answer that in the ring and see how good he can be or whatever the situation is. And he said, thanks for all the great content. Much love from Puerto Rico. Shout out Wepa. Shout out to Puerto Rico. Next question, Corey Kush. Ego, UFC did it again. Sold out crowd at T-Mobile Arena, and I am sure they will have decent pay-per-view numbers also. I am and have been a fan of boxing for years. I used to box. I see the sport losing fans because it has lost some of its entertainment value. The fights are not as competitive as they were in the 80s and 90s when the best fought the best, and the marketing of the sport is lacking. UFC has these embedded video series like HBO's 24/7 that looks into the fighter's life and training, which helps promote the fight. I like the UFC embedded a lot. They also do a ton of press outside of the sport, such as talk shows and other venues, which allows them to reach out to the casual fan. In my opinion, boxing needs to utilize more social media and channels such as yours to promote the sport. In addition, they have to take a page out of the WWE book where they create drama before the fight so the people can be entertained. I think Thurman and Garcia are doing this now, which is good. I agree. At the end of the day, it's all about entertainment and people want to be entertained. Now, I agree with probably 98, 99% of what you just said. Only thing I don't really agree with is the part where you said the sport's losing fans because it has lost some. Well, no, not that part. The fights are not as competitive as they were in the 80s and 90s. I don't think that's the case. I think the fights are competitive with the right matches. Ward Kovalev, competitive. Richard Comey versus Robert Easter, competitive. Canelo and Triple G, if they ever fight, competitive. So I think it will be. It's just depending on the matchmaking. I think Joshua Klitschko will be competitive. James DeGale Jack will be competitive. Tank versus Pedraza, competitive. Broner Granados will probably even be competitive. So, I mean, I don't think it's safe to say, at least from my view, that the fights aren't as competitive as the 80s and 90s. If it's the right match, then they will be competitive because it will be the best fight and the best. If it's Errol Spence versus Kell Brook, I guarantee you it'll be competitive. I'm leaning towards Spence Jr. to beat Brook, but I'm not saying it's a runaway fight or Kell Brook has no chance in hell and all this. It's a good fight. That's why I want to see it. So if the right matches are made, it'll be competitive, and some of them have been made. You know what I mean? and the other fights that haven't been competitive that were good matches, then you can't really blame that. Crawford, Postal, it's not Crawford's fault that Postal couldn't adjust. But I agree with everything else that you said. I think I've been saying this on my channel. I've said it even on a Monday Mail Day. You got to utilize social media. Like, I mean, I'm not even trying to clown or roast nobody, throw shade. I have more fans and followers on Instagram and Facebook than some actual fighters who are signed to promoters. I don't have anyone, like my Facebook and my Instagram, nobody helps me. All the captions you see at this point are coming from me. All the posts are coming from me. I'm a one-man show, you know what I'm saying? On top of balancing a website and the YouTube channel, I work, I bust my ass, but it's all comes with the territory. And I think that's kind of why my entertainment, or that's why my Instagram grew, because of the entertainment value. Like, I try to, you know what I mean, have fun, give people updates, and I'm just being myself. So you're right. People need to use, these fighters need to utilize, do more of the Facebook Q&As, or go on Instagram Live and Periscope Live, all this shit. Fans are into that, Snapchat, and like really get people's involvement to build up these fights. Ward Kovalev did horrible numbers. I don't blame it solely on the build-up. I do think that is a portion of it, but I also think it was too many damn pay-per-views from HBO, and that kind of ruined it. Like, people aren't trying to pay for 8-9 pay-per-views throughout the year, especially during the holidays. It was at like late November, mid-November, or whatever. It's a tough ask. But I agree with you. I like the UFC embedded, very high quality video production. They get them out quick. They have multiple episodes before the fight. Boxing could really take a page off of that. I mean, bottom line is this, and I've been saying this, I do video editing. I want to get a new camera and everything, but I could produce a 24/7 type of show and have it look cool with limited equipment, very limited equipment. I have several videos that I've shot and filmed with 1 million+ views or hundreds of thousands of views on WorldStar to this day, that I shot everything, you know what I mean? Came up with the treatment, the concepts, shot it, edited the video by myself. They're still on WorldStar, right? One has like over 1 million, or yeah, I think it's over 1 million. I'm almost positive. So you mean to tell me you can't find somebody out there like who's similar, who you can hire? You know what I'm saying? Like, for example, HBO, okay, you can't do the 24/7. You can find dope videographers on Instagram that are raw as fuck, and they already have a camera, and all you would have to do, HBO would have to pay for their flight, pay for them to like film and edit, maybe have a small crew, and then that'll probably cut your production costs in half from what a regular HBO 24/7 would cost. And you could produce something like the UFC embedded. So really, there's no excuse. You're asking, it's being cheap, what it is to me. You're asking people to pay for Ward Kovalev, but you're putting together the My Fight and stuff like that. People want to say, what about the face-off? How about we see that? I want to see that. And do the My Fight in addition to what you normally did, the 24/7 and the face-off. But you notice they're not doing it. Pacquiao Bradley 3, a fight I didn't even want to see because I thought Pacquiao won the first 2 fights. They put it on pay-per-view and didn't even do a face-off or a HBO 24/7. You know what I'm saying? It takes money to make money. I've invested a lot of money into what I do now. You know what I mean? And that's what you have to do and then you'll start seeing money you'll get the money back or start seeing money. And sometimes you have to do things pro bono. Like when I first started video editing, I shot a lot of videos for free, pro bono, for practice. You know what I'm saying? So these companies like HBO or whatever, you can't expect people to pay for pay-per-view and you're not even building the excitement. You're just like, oh, here, just pay for it. You know what I mean? What about the appetizers? Things like that. They just want to serve you the main course, and the main course is expensive. You know what I mean? Give us a reason. So I agree with the rest of what you said. Next question. Daryl Smith. What's up, Ego? Love your channel, bro. 2 questions. Thank you. 1, me personally, I think Ronda Rousey should retire. Her mom said the same thing. I did a video about it. I don't see how she can reestablish her image people had of her being some unbeatable badass after 2 KO losses in a row. What do you think? Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think she should retire because if your heart's not in the sport, or you're a fighter who thrives on confidence and you no longer have the confidence, then it's worthless. Again, she's been proven. The blueprint is out. Like, it's not like an Oscar De La Hoya. Like, hey, Canelo, I have the blueprint for Floyd. Let me give it to you. Like, it's not no fake blueprint. There's a true to life, like, blueprint that an architect could follow on how to beat Ronda Rousey. If you have the skill set, like if you're a striker, if you have a boxing background, if you don't go to the ground, if you bum rush her and punch her in the face and have respectable pop, it's a proven plan. It worked 2 times back to back for 2 different ladies. You know what I'm saying? So I agree with you. It's going to be very hard to reestablish herself. I mean, I don't think she can reestablish herself because at the end of the day, I think she was a fighter who thrived off the media hype and the attention. This is, how do you say this? I'm not just trying to use me as examples. Like, I'm not trying to be pompous and use me as examples, but I mean, obviously I know me the best. So I feel I'm a strong person, meaning I have a high threshold for pain, and I've been in some shit and I always find a way out. Always. You know what I'm saying? Because I won't give up. If I get fixated on something, it becomes like an obsession, and I will not stop until I make it right. You know what I'm saying? You have to be strong mentally to bounce back. And some people don't know how to do that. Some people can only do good. They don't know how to do bad. Now, that's going to sound weird to some of y'all. Like, haha, what do you mean? Who likes to do bad, Ego? You're stupid. Listen, nobody likes to do bad. I definitely don't. But I know how to keep myself occupied while I work myself out of that hole. You know what I'm saying? So I don't, like, I've been in slumps and dry spells, felt uncreative, or had this issue, debt, whatever the situation is. But I know how to hang on to get past that. You know what I mean? Because after every rainy day comes a sunny day. You know what I'm saying? But some people don't have that. Some people don't know how to do bad. Like, that'll eat them alive. That'll kill them. They don't know. Like, if you come from nothing and you come from like there's been, I'm not trying to say no sob stories or anything like that, but there's been issues or times in my life where I had to fight, where I had to, like, be a warrior in some regard, mentally, physically, whatever the situation, things that happened, or where I had to, like, you know what I mean, believe and have a faith and a belief system to overcome those things and, like, get past those, or otherwise they would have destroyed me, whatever those things were at the time. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, nobody likes to do bad, but at the same time, you have to be able to get out of that rut that you're in. You know what I'm saying? And luckily, I'm persistent, and once I get my head right, I can get out of anything. You know what I mean? I'm in my bed, like, okay, now I got to do this and blah, blah, blah. But I don't really see Ronda Rousey as being durable mentally. She seems mentally weak from what I've seen, crying. Like, why would people feel sorry, or why would you expect anyone to feel sorry for your crying now, right? But before the Holly Holm fight, the girl that beat you, you called her a bitch. You said you're a fake preacher's daughter bitch and you're not ready to be a champion and I'm gonna beat your ass. This will be your highest payday. You were talking a gang of shit, right? She tried to glove up before the fight and then you refused to touch gloves. And then now you expect people to feel sorry for you because you're crying on Ellen? That's weak to me. It's just like the murderers who kill and rape a little girl and then in court they're crying. Like, you ain't crying. You crying because you got caught. That's what my mom always used to say. You're not crying because you're sorry. You're crying because you got caught. And that's kind of how it is with Ronda Rousey. Now you're no longer the bully. You're no longer the undefeated. You're like, oh, so I just look and maybe I should have Travis's babies. And if I'm not this, then what am I? I'm nothing anymore. Like, that's weak, man. I could be doing horrible. I'll never say I'm nothing. Fuck that. Fuck out of here. Why would you who does that? You know what I'm saying? I would never say that. I could be broke as fuck, You know what I'm saying? Begging for change and not sure what I'm going to do. Just got out of a relationship, got broken up with. I'll never be like, oh, I'm nothing. If I don't have my ex-girlfriend, I'm nothing. What am I anymore? I took this L. I got fired from my job. What am I? I'm nothing anymore. I'll never say no shit like that. That's just me, though. And even in the worst of times, you have to know how to survive. And to me, Ronda Rousey sounds like it first lost, ate her up alive. You know what I mean? Now you just took another one. So where's your head at going to be now? You just got pummeled by 2 different chicks, 4 different fists. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. Without that shield of invincibility and that confidence, she may not be the same. And again, like I said, I'm not even trying to be harsh. This is just how I really feel. The blueprint is out on how to beat her. Like, it doesn't take rocket science to see she struggles with the same thing over and over. And she doesn't want to do anything to change her team, even though her mom outed her coach, Edmund, and said, oh, he's a bad person, terrible person, and he's no good for her before the Holly Holm fight. You didn't heed her warning. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, why are you gonna leave him now after you already took 2 KO losses? You might not even be the same fighter. You should have made that decision when your mama was telling you to do that. So it's a real uphill battle, and I like a good underdog story. So if she can bounce back and make me and other people eat our words who think she can't bounce back, cool. Like, I support that. But that's what this Nunes fight was supposed to be, which was a dumb decision in my opinion. You come back and fight a champion like you just thought it was going to be easy work. Amanda Nunes, you've seen what she did to your former opponent. I think you submitted Miesha Tate in your fight or went to decision on one of them, whatever, in a competitive fight. Nunes demolished Miesha Tate like a rag doll and had her lip and nose looking all fractured and fucked up like Owen Wilson. Man. So, again, it's up to Ronda Rousey, but just from my standpoint, I think the blueprint is out on how to beat her. So if you have the tools. And see, this is the other thing. Part of progress forward is facing your own demons. One of my favorite movies is Dragon, the Bruce Lee story, or I just really love that movie, right? I'm a huge Bruce Lee fan. Hey Linda, don't go too far, hun. It'll be over in 60 seconds. I know, bastard. I'm Bruce Lee. But in the Dragon movie, throughout the whole movie, he's having these nightmares, these night terrors or whatever. And it's like this big ass samurai dude who just shows up and breaks walls down and windows, and the glass is breaking and smoke and shit's coming out and all kinds of shit like that, right? And he's having these dreams or these terrors, nightmares or whatever since he was a kid, and this figure, he doesn't know how to beat it, and every time he just like wakes up in a cold sweat, you know what I'm saying? And this demon or whatever that's haunting him that got passed down, that they said, it keeps haunting him. But at the end of the movie, he decides to stand his ground and fight this demon, and I think he uses nunchucks to put it around the dude's neck and chokes the demon to death or whatever. It's a sick ass movie, but if you haven't seen it, watch it. And the reason I say that is that was kind of symbolizing Bruce Lee conquering his fear, like an age-old demon, whatever his fear was, right? And to me, I think the best way to do that, to conquer your fear, is to actually own up to your L's and also avenge them. You know what I mean? Or like find a way to make it right. Like, look at Miguel Cotto. He lost to arguably cheating Antonio Margarito, and some people said he was never the same fighter ever since then. You know what I mean? That was a bad loss. Cotto was on fire before that. I mean, he had tough fights with like Torres and shit, but he was a real good fighter, undefeated. And he beat Margarito in the rematch, busted his eye, sent him into retirement. At least at the time, we didn't know he was going to come back. That was huge for Miguel Cotto, because now he could say, you know what, I shouldn't have even lost the first fight because I'm pretty sure this dude cheated, because Cotto had an iPad and everything. If you guys remember the HBO face-off with Max Kellerman, Cotto was like, oh, what's this? Why is your wraps cracked? What is this? And he's like zooming in on his iPad and stuff. So he believes Margarito cheated him in the first fight, and that's the reason he won. And then you avenge it and send him into retirement for the moment. And Then his very next fight, who does he fight? For my real boxing fans, who does he fight? Floyd Mayweather Jr. And he gives Floyd a tough fight. You see, Cotto's confidence was enhanced by making that right and beating the guy that beat him and fucking his eye up even worse, which Pacquiao started, right? And he gave Floyd Mayweather a tough fight, tougher than Canelo, tougher than the Mayweather fight with Mosley. I think Cotto won more rounds. Tougher than the Pacquiao Mayweather. You know what I mean? He gave Mayweather a tough fight. And I think part of that is like the confidence. That's the momentum he carried into that fight. You know, he's always a good fighter, but he carried momentum into that fight by avenging his first loss. So I know I've been on this question for a minute. To me, the only way Ronda Rousey can overcome that is to actually beat the girls that beat her. And I've seen no level of improvement to signify that she could do that, right? And just to give you guys some more fight knowledge, Holly Holm in boxing, she was undefeated, got knocked out bad. I forgot the girl's full name. I think it was like Sheila something. Girl knocked her out. She's like flying in the ropes, and the ref was like, oh, fuck no. Like, she's like literally out. Guys, YouTube it, right? Holly Holm got knocked out bad. I believe her very next fight, she fought that girl again and beat her via decision. That helps you go on with your career. Look at Conor McGregor. Nate Diaz submitted him, came back. Even though he gassed in the second fight, he still looked good, and he still got the decision in the rematch. Now he could go on, and he just blasted Eddie Alvarez out of this world. You know what I'm saying? That helps you. Ronda Rousey, instead of dealing with Nunes, she should have fought Holly Holm. That was the perfect fight for her. Holly Holm coming off back-to-back losses since the Ronda Rousey win. Back-to-back losses, come back to fight her. Now you avenge that. And you could say, oh, you see what I did? I put Holly Holm in an armbar, or I won a decision. Now you could close that chapter and then move on, and then look at a tune-up or whatever, and then fight Amanda Nunes. But I think Ronda Rousey and team were so arrogant, they said, I'm Rowdy Ronda Rousey. Rowdy Piper gave me this name. I'm not a do-nothing bitch. I could do this. And then you went in there and got smoked. You got that garlic butter. And that just was not a good look. So, again, to me, the way for her to, the only way for her to bounce back and reestablish her image is to rectify and right those wrongs by beating the ladies that beat her. And I don't see it, because I don't see, she keeps struggling with the same stuff. It'd be one thing if it was either of those fights were competitive. She's getting dominated in the fight she lost. Look at other people that lost. You know what I'm saying? Conor McGregor looked good in the first fight. He just blew his wad in the first round of the Nate Diaz fight I'm talking about. And then Nate Diaz was getting busted up and bloody, and Nate Diaz being tough and durable, he was able to hang on and catch Conor, hurt him, take it to the mat where he's better, and had the jiu-jitsu game going, and he submitted him. But Conor McGregor, both of his Nate Diaz fights were, look at that. Look what I'm saying. Chad Mendes fight was pretty competitive. The Jose Aldo was a 13-second blowout. And then both Diaz fights, whether you had Diaz winning or not, they were competitive. Diaz was leaking. Diaz was bleeding. And that's my dude from Northern California, 209 Stockton Slap. But, I mean, if you're realistic, you can't say that they were one-sided. They were both competitive, right? And then he just went and fought Eddie Alvarez, and it wasn't competitive. I mean, just demolished him and made him look like shit, and he was the champion. Ronda Rousey's losses aren't like that. She's losing bad, losing every second of every round. So it's going to be an uphill battle, and I think the only way, if there is a way for her to do that, is to rectify those and avenge that, and I don't see her doing that. Finally, I got a little long-winded, but hopefully you guys are entertained, because I feel like this is a good episode so far. Second part of your question, what's up with KELL BROOK versus Spence? I love Brook, but he'll fight all his other bum mandatories. No problem, but when he finally has a mandatory that's a threat, he seems hesitant to fight. Is this a duck? Clearly a duck if he doesn't fight him. I don't know what he's going to do. And if he vacates his belt or lets himself get stripped, I said this earlier in this particular episode, not a good look. Any way you slice it. It's my personal opinion. Kell Brook's a quality fighter, but it's just like Carl Frampton, Leo Santa Cruz. You guys can have a trilogy if you want. Doesn't change the fact that you ducked Guillermo Rigondeaux, both of you. You know what I'm saying? So maybe that's what this climate of the game is. They feel like, oh, if I do enough good things after, I'll be vindicated. But people don't forget. What do they say on Superbad? People don't forget. So if Kell Brook allows himself to go out like that and pursues Khan or tune-up, I mean, tune-up's okay if you fight Kell Brook, or if the IBF lets you have a tune-up and then you fight Errol Spence, guaranteed, sign on the dotted line next. But if you fight a tune-up and then Amir Khan and talking about, oh, I'll fight in fucking December 31st, I'll fight Spence. No one's trying to see that. So I think it'll be a bad look for Team Brook if he lets his belt go. And Amir Khan agreed, and he said the same thing.